Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great day today. Now, as you probably know, the new Sonic movie is coming out very soon. It will be the third installment into this trilogy, so in preparation, I'm doing a review for the first two films, and in this video, we're going to be doing a review for the second Sonic the Hedgehog film, which came out in 2022. So to just kind of hop into the review, similar to the first movie, this just has a very good vibe. It's a good blend of action and comedy. As a matter of fact, I think it's even funnier than the first. There were just some laugh out loud moments that actually kind of surprised me at how funny they were. And in general, when it comes to this movie, the cast here is great, as well as the voice cast. But overall, similar to the first movie, the standout performance here is Jim Carrey. He's just phenomenal in the role of Dr. Robotnik, and this movie really took the character to the next level. I think the production design is also very good, similar to the first movie, although I think it's even better because they kind of expanded their locations, where you have some parts in the snowy mountains, and they filmed a lot of it in Hawaii as well. So there's just some really good scenery throughout this movie. I will say there is a little bit of CGI or green screen effects that I don't think are quite on the same level as other parts of this movie, but nonetheless, it's not really a huge deal. And just in general, I think this movie kept everything that worked about the first movie and just made it even better. The main thing I would say about this movie is that it just feels even more like the video games. So while the plot here is still on Earth, because that's just the route they wanted to take with these movies, so that it would be easier for people who weren't fans of the games to follow along with the story, it just does a really good job of balancing all of these different elements. I definitely like the whole plot around the Chaos Emerald, and how it kind of ties back to Sonic's origins. And the big thing with this movie is that it introduced Knuckles the Echidna, and you also had Tails in here playing a huge role in the story, which he was introduced after the credits in the first movie for a brief little cameo, but in here you really get to see more of him and his dynamic with Sonic. And then Knuckles in here as well just very much feels like the character from the video games, and there's just a good dynamic where he's teaming up with Robotnik for most of the movie. And plus, we got one of the greatest memes of all time from this movie. But just overall, all of these antics that are going on with Sonic and Tails, and then of course Knuckles and Dr. Robotnik, it's just all super interesting. But they kind of have this wedding subplot in Hawaii going on, and they actually did a pretty good job of connecting it to the rest of the film. Although there is just one little problem. Everything going on with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Dr. Robotnik is kind of put on hold for a few minutes in the film, just so they can kind of wrap up the stuff going on with these human characters. Obviously, Maddie's sister and her new husband, who's a secret agent. And it's just some of the most random, weird stuff that's kind of entertaining to watch, but at the same time, it's not near as interesting as what's going on with Sonic. And then as soon as all of that's resolved, a few of those characters who played such a huge role in the movie don't even show up for the rest of the movie. So just structurally, that is kind of a noticeable flaw there. I think it's something that when they were developing the movie, it just seemed better in their heads, and then when they actually filmed it and pieced it together, it just didn't work out as well as it could have. And so that in and of itself is probably the biggest problem I have with this movie, which to be completely honest is one of the least bad problems you can have with the movie. Also, not to mention, for some reason Preston from YouTube makes a little cameo in this movie, and it's just the most random collaboration of all time.
Just a little bit different than YouTube videos, just a little bit.
But anyways, as I was saying, the action throughout this movie is very well done, and once you get to the final battle, it's actually very cool because the stakes actually get pretty high. And of course you have Knuckles finally teaming with Sonic and Tails, and then they have to defeat Robotnik, who gets super overpowered and has the giant robot thing, which visually actually looks very good. And then of course you have Sonic turning into Super Sonic, which is just also very cool looking. And after everything's resolved, of course you have the really cool scene after the credits with Shadow the Hedgehog, which of course now we know that in the upcoming movie he'll be voiced by Keanu Reeves. But overall, just all around, I think this movie is in many ways actually pretty heartwarming, and I almost want to call it a masterpiece, because it is just one of the most entertaining films ever made in my opinion. Generally speaking, when it comes to family entertainment, it's often just very generic, especially these days. But because this franchise at its core is supposed to be targeted towards fans of the Sonic franchise, it just feels like they put more heart into it. And just overall, I don't really have many problems with this film other than the ones I mentioned. Overall, for my final score of the movie on the quality scale of 0 to 100, I'll give it a 92%, and I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're a fan of Sonic. If you have seen it, let me know what you think about it in the comments section down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.